This place is Mahabodhi Temple. This is the Bodhi tree where the Buddha sat under the tree of enlightenment. Every day there are many pilgrims who come here to visit and meditate and practice around under this Bodhi tree tea. There are a lot of stray dogs here living in this area. I also often come to the back under this Bodhi tree to sit and meditate. One day I was sitting in meditation, a dog came. Ian sat at my feet. I looked at the dog and thought that there are a lot of dogs living here. Anyone who comes here to meditate, there will be dogs running near to wait for people to feed them, nothing special. This dog is different from the other dogs. I have been sitting here for a long time and it is still sitting at my feet. He didn't leave until I got up from his seat to go home, and the dog got up and followed me. The dog followed me until I reached the exit of the Mahabodhi temple when I noticed the dog before he left me. It went in its direction. I saw the dog go away, then I continued in my direction to go to my temple. On my way back to my temple, about 500 meters away, I saw a dog standing in front of me on the road. It was waiting for me on the road. When I pass it, it follows me. That time, in my mind, I wondered why this dog knew that I was going to my temple in this direction, and he sat there and picked me up. When I come back to my temple, the dog also follows me into the temple. It is not afraid at all. I also think that the dog will stay here for a while and then it will leave too. After the dog sat down to play in the temple and then he left. Then that evening I went up to the roof as usual. I slept on the roof of my temple. Because the summer in India is very hot, I had to go up to the roof terrace. I slept on the roof of the temple. Early the next morning I woke up. I saw the dog lying next to me, sleeping next to me without even knowing it. So after that, the dog would come home every night to sleep next to me on the roof of the temple. Since then I decided to keep the dog and raise the dog. Every time I go, the dog walks beside me. Sometimes I go to grocery stores or silk shops. The dog knows how to wait for me outside the door. If it doesn't see me come out, it will still wait. The dog will never go away if it doesn't see me out. Every time I go to the market, the food I put in the bag and put it on the dog's back. The dog helps me carry the food. The dog knows I will take the food off its back and it stands still for me to get it. When I finished storing the food and I sat down to rest, the dog sat at my feet. Sometimes I sleep on the sidewalks. The dog lies down as a pillow for me to rest my head on. Sometimes when I sit to read the scriptures, the dog lies still in front of my legs. The dog let me put the sutra on his back so I could read the sutra. The flight ticket I bought is a 3-month round trip on the day I have to return to America. The dog lived with me for a few months, then the day I had to go back to the US I couldn't bring the dog with me. When I return to the US, I know the dog will stay where it was before. After I returned to the US and 6 months later I came back to India again. When I came to India I immediately went to the Mahabodhi temple to find the dog to see if it was still there. When I went inside the Mahabodhi temple area, I found the dog that was still in the area near the Bodhi tree. The dog recognized me and jumped on top of me and was very happy to see me again. The moment the dog and I met again, the dog followed me back to my temple and lived as before. Every time I go back to America and back to India, the dog goes back to the temple to stay with me. Like I just told you about this wild dog story, it chose me, it followed me, and lived with me. This is a true story. But there is one thing I can't explain why the dog chose me, followed me and came to live with me. What I can say, I think this dog previous life is my relative. The story about dog choose me, followed me and stay with me, you believe or not is up to you. I just share a true story.